Hey guys, what's going on? This is Mason Sliger, and today I'm going to be walking you through a refinancing loan decision spreadsheet. So, the current situation that we're looking at is Bill and Mary Jones just got a house in Smyrna, Tennessee. So, 4 years into it, they're considering refinancing the loan, and then they're deciding that, is that going to be profitable, even if they're only going to stay there for another 3 years after that before Bill is moved to Alabama or something like that. So, let's go ahead and get started. We have a couple givens. Let me zoom in for you. All right, we have a couple givens that we're going to get started with. So we have the price, which is $265,500. Okay, and then we have the loan to value ratio. I'm going to put it as LTV, and that is 80%. So given those two numbers right there, we can now calculate the actual loan amount. It's just going to be $265,000 times the LTV. Perfect. All right, so the next thing that we're going to need to calculate is our payment. This is how much we're going to be paying monthly for this loan. So, oops. We have a couple more givens we're going to need before we can calculate that, though. Our rate for the loan is going to be 7%, and the term for this loan is going to be 30 years. All right. All right, so now with everything that we have here, we can calculate our first loan payment. So that's just going to be a payment function. We're going to need the rate, all right, and divide that by 12 because that's an annual rate and we need it monthly. Same idea here with the terms. That's yearly and we need it monthly. So multiply that by 12. All right, and then we're just going to put in the loan amount. Oh, can't say years here. There we go. All right, so with that number, that's our payment monthly. We can now calculate the annual payment of the loan. That's just going to be this number times 12. Pretty simple. Perfect. All right, so now we have everything that we need for setting up the loan. Now we want to look at our new situation, and this is where we're going to be able to decide, is it worth refinancing the loan. So we have to keep in mind that we are refinancing this loan after 4 years. It's a good thing to remember. All right. So let's go ahead and calculate the balance of the old loan after those 4 years. Just gonna say balance old loan. It's a little easier. All right. So for this, we're just gonna do a present value function. And that's gonna be just PV. Okay, we're gonna take our rate of 7% divided by 12 again. Our this time's a little different. We're going to take our 30 years actually, but subtract the 4 years that we've already been paying on this loan. 4 times 12. Oops, that's a comma. And then our monthly payment we're going to put in there. Awesome. Okay, so that's how much we have remaining. You can see we've paid off about $10,000 of it so far, a little bit less. So the next thing that we're going to do is we have a couple more givens for the new loan. So we're going to get all that in, including all the costs that it's going to, or any expenses and costs that'll be incurred. And then we can finally actually compare these two. So let's go ahead and put in all of the new information. So like our new rate is going to be a little better. It's 5% instead of 7%. The term is going to be the same. Say new term. Still going to be 30 years. And so now here's some of our costs. We have our origination fee from the bank, and that is 1%, so I'm going to put that in here. Well, actually, I'm going to put that over here. And then this, now that we know that that's 1%, it's pretty easy to calculate, actually. It's just going to be the old loan balance times 1%. Oh, they have them in percent, so let's just do it like this. times 0.01. Perfect. We can make it money though. There we go. All right. So the next thing that we have is other various fees. I believe these were at $2,000. All right. Let's make that cool too. All right. So now what we want to do is calculate our new loan payment, monthly and annual. So let's just say new payment, new annual payment. All right. So just going to be another payment function. The only difference is this time we're using this new information. So we're going to use 5% divided by 12. We're going to use the 30 years times 12. Then we're going to use the old loan balance. Perfect. All right, so then again, for the annual payment, we're just going to take that, multiply it by 12. Awesome. All right, so now you can physically see the difference between these. Everything else aside, this is a little bit better deal, at least looking at it right here. I mean, your payment is going to be about $300 something less every month. So yeah, that'll save you a lot of money in the long run. However, we're still going to make a chart and see, is this really going to be worth it? All right, so what I'm going to do is we'll have, it's going to be a cash flow chart. So these will be all the costs incurred if we were to start this today. Then we have year one, year one, year two, year three. I'm just doing those 3 years because one of the given information was Bill plans to move with his job to Alabama after 3 years. So that being said, we only really care about these first 3 years. Is this going to be profitable in those 3 years, or is it smarter to just keep the loan that we have, and then in 3 years we'll move and have a whole new situation? So, but yeah, that being said, we're going to start with the costs that are being incurred today, like they're saying. So let's underline these. All right. So the cost is going to be our fees. I'm going to do equals negative our origination, or either one, yeah, negative fees minus our other fees. All right, so you can see we start with $4,027.88. All right, and then for everything else, year one, it's just going to be the difference between these annual payments. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. So I'm going to go here minus that. Perfect. So $3,893. And if you're saving that much every year, that's a pretty good deal right there. All right, so the next step is going to be a payoff comparison table. All right, so why don't I just go right here for that. Payoff comparison. All right, so we'll have the old first and then the new. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's start with the old. All right, so we're just going to do a present value again. So we're going to take the old rate of 7% divided by 12. Here we have to take the 30 years minus the 7 years that we've been paying on this theoretically by year 3. So that's, the 3 years we're waiting to move to Alabama plus the 4 years into owning the first house that we started to refinance. So that's 7 in total, 7 years. We'll go right here, times 12. And lastly, we got to put in the payment. Gotcha. Okay, so that's the old one. Exact same idea with the new one, present value function. We're just going to use different information. So we have the new rate divided by 12. 30 years minus, we're going to do 3 years this time, because we only have to wait, 3 years until we're moving. Years times 12. and then we use the new payment. Okay, perfect. All right, so these are very close. What we need to do now is just find the difference. So that's going to be this one minus that one. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put that number in here because at the end of the third year, that's going to be, excuse me, that's going to be the difference between those two numbers. Let's just do this. Perfect. All right, so if we were to have a bunch of cash flows, we would need to use this sum function. I can see all these numbers, but just to have it all set up, I'm going to go ahead and put in a sum function. Oops. For all of these. So perfect. All right, so now we have the sum function in for the two boxes ahead of it or above them. So we can just pull that across. It should do the same. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to underline these. Those are our cash flows summed at the end of every year. All right. The last thing that we need to do now is use a net present value formula. This is what's actually going to show us, over these 3 years, you have saved this much money, this is worth it, or you've lost this much money, you should continue with your other loan. So let's do that right here. Equals, or I'll type it in first. All right, NPV. So we got 0.1, and then we're just going to throw in all these values. All right, perfect. All right, and the last thing that we have to do, we can't forget this, we have to remember to add our initial expenses of $4,000. All right, so here you can see we will have saved $5,844 over those 7 years if we decide to refinance after 4 years. All right, thank you very much.